my body as my soul begins to yell. My tongue cleaves to the rooftop of my mouth. Ouch! I'm never getting out. Hell's a place of total torment, prepared for the devil and his demons, where the worm dive not. It's pitch dark, burning flames toward you while you still screaming. The devil don't want you to hear me. Baby, hear me out. Baby, hear me out. The devil don't want you to hear me. Where will I be? On my way to hell as my spirit leaves my body.
Good morning, and welcome to Sound Travels. I am Pastor Dan Walker, and I am so privileged to pastor the New Bethel Baptist Church and Framingham, Mass., where God is doing amazing things. If you missed our Sunday service this past Sunday, you missed a treat. I mean, the Spirit walked in and sat down and began to move all through that place. It was just a high time in the Lord, and I just no other way to describe it. You really should have been there. You can tell the Spirit is working. Good morning. Well, I'm actually here live, people, live and in living color. My father gave me that joke the first time I went on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was, I was auditioning to be a high school announcer in the morning, and he gave me that joke. So I still use it today. The only difference is today it has more success than it had then. I was willing to listen to me before to see what I was going to talk about. It has been one of those mornings where I'm not sure what we should be talking about, except to say, welcome to, I'm Pastor Dan Walker. I am privileged to pastor the New Bethel Baptist Church in Framingham, Mass., where God is doing amazing things. It's the new year, and I know churches all through the city are experiencing an upward swing. We've talked about the negative for long enough. And this is my first live broadcast of the new year, thanks to all the traffic and all the different things that were going on. Last week, I just physically could not get down here in the allotted time because of all the flooding. And it just wasn't possible. So, new year, new things, new causes, new direction. I'm not a person that makes resolutions. I find them to be most of the time unobtainable, shall we say. I would much rather just start a new path and follow it than tell everybody that's what I'm doing. So, somebody is commenting on my phone already. Let's see what we got going on here. Just as a public service, I would advise you to watch out. The computers are generating so many false profiles and so many false people who you already have friends are requesting to become your friends, and it's just a computer generated thing. And once you accept them, the conversations are not who you think they are. Eventually, they always point you to some ad or some product or some philosophy or something. So right now, I'm friends with a particular bishop, and I just got a new friend request, so I accepted it because I wanted to see if it was a computer. And it is a computer because I asked it a simple question. I always ask, when you want to become my friend, I always ask you a question about me. Something simple. What kind of car, what kind of Chevy do I drive? Or, what instrument do I play? Something that people who know me, who absolutely know me, know that is just not going to be the case. First of all, I'm a Ford guy, and everybody who knows me knows that. So when I say what kind of Chevy do I drive, and you don't come back and say, you don't drive Chevys, you're a Ford guy. I know it's the real you. Or if I say, what kind of instrument do I play? Anything other than the soundboard is not the right answer, because I believe that, when I play the soundboard very well. I'm pretty good as an engineer. So, the new year, and also there's a disturbing little thing that I've noticed just recently on my messenger within the Facebook Providence. I keep getting these requests that they're going to take my Facebook page off, and in order for me to fix it, I have to log in and give them all my information, and don't ever accept that. Don't ever accept that. The easiest way to tell that it's not really Facebook is in the address of where the message is coming from. If it doesn't say www.facebook or HTTP Facebook, if it has anybody else's, if any other letters are in front of Facebook, then it's not from Facebook, period. It's some computer-generated thing trying to steal your information so they can go in and steal your account and hijack your accounts and just start, causing problems. And I really do not know. It's always concerned me. I really do not know why Facebook allows this. The things that are false, the sales that are false on Facebook. There's a whole series of marketplaces that are absolutely false on Facebook. It's as you know, I do live sound, and I still have contacts in the live sound world. So there was a Facebook promo saying, answer these 3 questions and you can win this keyboard that is going to be sent to you by this manufacturer this company that I deal with on a regular basis. So I contacted and I went through the walls and stuff. I did the questions, and I got to the page that said, okay, the keyboard is coming to you free, but it's $7.98 or something like that shipping, and that's all you have to pay. So I contacted the place and I said, okay, are you aware of this? And they went, yeah, we are aware of it. We're trying to combat it. No, it's not real. They are just trying to get a account number. They're trying to get a credit card and an account number so they can sell that on the black market. Or it's a phishing expedition to try to get information from you so they can start hitting your account with small amounts over time, and you won't even notice it unless you're paying attention to your account. And some of these times, well, let's face it, they take out $4.99 for a year. 5 times, 12, it's 72. And there you have your $72 that you'll never get back, because by the time you figure it out, Now, luckily, the bank I bank with is aware of these type of things, so they will credit it back to you and just pull it back from the account that took it if it's still there. So it's a help, but it's also a help that you're still out that money while you try to figure out how to get it back. So it's quite simple. If it's too good to be true, it's a lie. It's just that simple. You're not going to get a $300 toolbox for $10 or for even $20. And it's a really good adage that if it's too good to be true, it is not true. It's a lie. And if you get suckered in by these things, they're playing on the foolish American greed. And it just as, and then there's some companies, there's some salespeople that are on the internet that I just think I've dealt with them, and they're just horrible. They're flashy. They're everywhere, and I'm not really going to say who it is, but it's orange, and it's 4 letters. The last letter is U in their name. And I bought one thing, when you're trying, they suck you in by saying, okay, you get this free. If you buy this one, you get this free. But by the time you go through the process, you realize you can't get that free unless you buy something else. And by the time you've done all of that, and then the bottom line is everything that this particular sales is selling, you can find on Amazon, which is a legitimate place to buy from. It's a local place. It's within this country. The other place is based in another country, and the prices are literally no better, and the time frame is no better because it has to come from outside the country, which almost always adds 2 or 3 days to the process. And the merchandise, and one of the things that I did discover was that the merchandise that you get from this particular company is not necessarily supported by their American counterpart. As a matter of fact, the meter that I bought, it was I thought it was what I was looking for, a particular type of diagnostic equipment for my vehicles. And when I called and tried to register it, I was told, oh, you got that through the U company, and we don't support anything that they sell. But I said, it has your name on it. It was, yeah, we know. It's got our chip in it, but if you want our support, you have to buy it from us in America, and then we support it. And we don't support that particular one because we sold them the chip, and they put our name on the product. So there's just so many different ways that you can lose your money, but the first way that you lose your money is by deciding that you want something for nothing, that you're smarter than the average bear. You see a deal, you're going to go for it. It's not a deal. It's not a deal. It's just not. And everything I always tell people, and I do this myself because I do buy a lot of stuff on the internet. I do shop on the internet, and I shop in Marketplace, and I buy a lot of equipment and things like that from other people through Marketplace. And I've sold some stuff through Marketplace, and it's the wild, wild west. It's the electronic want ad of our age, and since I bought stuff through the want ad, I learned how to survive in that. And I've been beaten, but it's rare. It's a rare thing when you can beat me that way. Most of the time, people are who they say they are, or they're not, and it's really easy to find out. You just, force them to reveal themselves either through conversation, getting an address, talking, having them call you or you call them. It's always, especially if somebody wants you to send them money ahead of time, you have to talk to them. And 9 out of 10 times, you can't. And then for churches especially, and this is a sorry commentary, and this is very important to know. There are a lot of, I almost have to say this out loud. There are a lot of people claiming to be from churches in Africa. They send you 1,000 pictures of all the mission work they're doing, and they want your support, and they want you to send them equipment, send them money, send them whatever. And I'm sorry to say that 9 out of 10 times they're cons. And they're playing on the fact that you're a church, and you're, especially if you're a black church, then you're their African brother, and they want you to support them and the whole bit. And what I have done, and it seems to work out well, is I say, do you have a contact here in America that I can talk to that can verify your ministry, your mission, and who you are and what you're doing? And 9 out of the 10 of them have not had such a contact. And I feel like if you are a legitimate ministry trying to accomplish something, then you should have at least one contact in America that can stand up and say, and be the face basically that says, oh yes, these people do exist. Yes, these people are doing a good thing, and they would be the contact, and then I can talk to them about, okay, how are you supporting the ministry? What are you guys doing? And we can come alongside you in America to send over to Africa. And that tends to eliminate all of the fraud, because if you make it difficult, they just move on, because it's a numbers game. You ask 1,000 people, and if you get $1 from 1,000 people, that's $1,000. Or if you ask 1,000 people and get $100 from one person, because you're ahead of the game. You haven't lost anything. So it's all numbers for them. And when you consider that the Facebook marketplace is huge, and when you consider that Messenger goes everywhere, they claim, they want to be your friend, so you friend them. And then if all you get is just a series of pictures and long explanations of who they are, and we're looking for you to be our spiritual father, and all of this stuff to play on your ego and to play on the fact that, oh yes, we're going international. We support a ministry in Africa. No. Check it all out first and verify. And the easiest way to verify it is to just ask them for an American source that they're already dealing with that can vouch for them. And you'll discover really quickly that most of it is a lie. And I think it's time out for Christians being considered suckers. I think it's time out for us being gullible. I think, yes, we want to do the work of the Lord. Yes, we want to evangelize. Yes, we want to go and do things, and we want to certainly want to support ministries in different parts of the country. But the reality of it is, there are local ministries that certainly need our support and can use our support and certainly want to be supported. So why waste time and money giving to a lost cause? There are people in your neighborhood that need to know that the church on the corner cares about them. So, the adage that charity begins at home is absolutely true when it comes to ministries and churches. So that is strictly my opinion. And having been a pastor now for going on 10 years, you begin to learn certain things over time that are not immediately apparent when you first start pastoring. All the different people that immediately flock to you, that want to help you and that want to come alongside your ministry, and in the first 5 or 6 years of your ministry, it's rare that they're real. They just want to be in line because you're going to fail. And when you fail, they will have ingratiated themselves and they become the next pastor. And I wish I could say that type of stuff did not happen within the church community, but it happens all the time. So, do we have a caller? Okay. So, this is actually a call-in show, 617-282-0685, 612-282-7794, and 617-265-2679. Those are the call-in numbers. Feel free to call in. How are you going to approach 2024 different? What are you doing this year that is going to ensure your success or cause your failure in your ministry? What have you decided to change? What have you decided? I was talking to a particular pastor friend of mine, and he said one of the things that they're doing differently is they're not going out so much. They're not going to be supporting everybody that says, come to our programs, because we go to their programs and they rarely come to ours. And that's a very important thing. When you can be counted on.
I can't assume there will be action today, but I would encourage you when I
call, oh my goodness, when I can.
the message and she'll be back to you.
So anyway, I'm just there's a conversation going on in the background that's throwing me off. So there's what was I saying? When it comes to being able to, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh my goodness. So anyway, you just have to be smart about what you're doing. The first thing when somebody, I guess what I'm learning is that when somebody comes to your church claiming to be this, that, or the other, claiming that God has sent them and God wants them to do things in your ministry and they're there to help you, blah, blah, blah. The first thing you should do is sit them down and say, okay, this sounds like a plan. We'll talk about this in a month. And if they're not willing to wait the month because of whatever reason, then you have your answer. That's one of the things that I'm learning to do, is just that when somebody wants to do this and do that and the other thing, the first thing you should do is sit down and learn and listen and see if if this is the ministry you're supposed to be working in, and B, whether you can handle the leadership and follow the leadership, and just what you're all about. Give us a chance to learn who you really are, and you learn who we really are. I think that's only right. No one's denying that you may have heard a voice telling you that we need you, and we may in fact do need you. I can pretty much guarantee we need you. But we need consistency. We need stability. We need, we don't need flash in the pans. And a lot of people aren't willing to go, quote unquote, the distance to do or accomplish anything because they're not genuine. They're not real. They want a quick answer to whatever their problem is, and they're just not who they say they are. And the only thing that reveals that is time. Unfortunately, you can't. The Bible is very clear: lay hands on no one quickly, because we need time to see who you are and what you're all about. I'm just trying to think of some examples. Now, when Jesus was walking, it was a little different because he knew who he chose. He's divinely inspired. He's God he's fully God and fully man. So, yes, he was able to pick the people that he needed to do what was necessary to be done based on who and what he knew about them. And yes, he did pick Judas, who was the son of perdition, but he didn't pick Judas and say, okay, I'm calling you so that you can betray me. See, that's the thing. People say, well, Judas was a puppet. No, he wasn't a puppet. Judas had free will throughout the whole process and chose to be who he was and reveal himself as to who he was. The Bible says that Jesus will be betrayed. The Bible in the prophecy never says, and one called Judas Iscariot will betray him. So Judas was not a puppet. We're not puppets. We have free will. And free will says that we are able to exercise the gifts, exercise the to live in our glory or to live in our stupidity, even within the ministry. And we have to be very mindful that we do not place on people responsibilities that they can't handle, even if they've asked for them. You know, there are people who want to do something. You know, I'm called to be a choir director. I'm called to be an evangelist. And okay, well, fine. The evangelistic classes are 5:00 on Saturday morning. I know one preacher who used to hold all of his ministerial training classes, his ministerial training classes at 6:00 on a Saturday morning. It's like, it's the most ridiculous time to hold it. But his philosophy was quite simple. Why should I make it easy if you're called to do this? It's not a matter that it's 6 o'clock. If it's 4 o'clock, you're going to be there because you're called to do this. But if you're not called to do it, then 6 o'clock in the morning is going to weed you right out. How can I depend on you to open the church at 6 o'clock in the morning when you won't come to a class that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning? So it's just little things like that to reveal who you are and whether you're actually going to serve God the way he wants you to serve him, which is never, ever, ever out of convenience. There is not one time where it is convenient to serve God in the Bible, in real life, in just extraordinary circumstance. It's always going to be an inconvenience in some way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, if it's easy, if it's become easy for you to serve God, I question what God you're serving, because my God is not. Once you're in the ministry, he says, "Take my yoke upon you; my burden is light." But he never said his burden is convenient, and it's just not. It's just not. We're 24/7. One of my primary vehicles is down right now, and I have to make a decision about getting a motor for it because the motor's tired. Well, 347,000 miles. Yeah, I guess the motor's tired. It doesn't really owe me anything, quote unquote. But it's a worrisome thing because that vehicle served a particular purpose. Excuse me. It was large enough to put people in it for the church, 7 or 8 people. It was recognized by the different rental agencies as a vehicle that can be used for towing all of their trailers and all of their I can tow whatever they rented, which at some point in time we need, you may need one of your parishioners needs to move immediately or has a car that has to be transported or whatever. And these are the things that a ministry has to be able to do, in my opinion. Not all ministries. Our ministry is one of helps and services and work. So whatever you find yourself needing, we like to be able to say, yes, within New Bethel Baptist Church, we can find someone that can help you do it and come alongside of you. I don't know how many cars I've transported from one state to another for people within our ministry and for people who we just met who will never be a part of our ministry, but as who we are, we extend the privilege to them because we can. So this truck being down is a big deal, and I'm just trying to think now what's the next step. How do I resolve this? Well, and the average person would say, well, what are you bothering with it for? Just go on. Well, our ministry is one of being available for people and solving problems. That's what we do. That's what we should do. Not everybody's ministry can do that. Ours can. We have people who are good at solving particular problems. We had a situation where one Sunday morning in our first snowstorm, went into the church and the church was 36 degrees because the heating system died. Well, I'm on the phone at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, and by 6:30, 6:45, we had somebody on the roof fixing our heating system because we knew who to call. And that person's within our ministry. So, hey, it's good to, every ministry has a particular niche, and our particular niche, I think, is helping people solve practical and legitimate problems. So for the 2024, we're just going to get better and stronger at resolving issues. That's what we do. Yes, we preach the word. As a matter of fact, if you're interested, Tuesday night Bible study, the whole month of January, we're answering questions. And the question that came up last night, which is what the class was based on, was, when are you redeemed? Because we always talk about redemption. We always talk about God's saving work. And so the person said, well, when am I redeemed? Because I don't feel redeemed. I still have issues. I still feel, I don't feel, I don't feel loved. I don't feel covered. I don't feel redeemed. I feel like, yes, I believe in Christ as my Redeemer, but I don't know what that means. And that's a legitimate question. That's a legitimate position to take. And if we're being completely 100% honest, this person was not expressing a feeling that is completely unknown to all of us, because nobody ever feels anything all the time. Boy, how'd that go for a statement? You feel what you feel when you feel it. And this person said, I don't feel redeemed. And the first question I asked is, why don't you feel redeemed? And their answer was quite simple, because I don't know what redemption means. Well, very good. Now we can get somewhere. If you don't know what redemption is, let's talk about what redemption is. Let's talk about the saving work. Let's talk about your commitment, what you have done and what Christ has done, and see if the two line up. Well, once we determine that they line up, then it's easy to explain what redemption is. But if they don't line up, if you say, I don't feel redeemed, and I say to you, well, why do you feel that way? Have you made a commitment to Christ? And you say, no, I'm not sure what that means. Okay, well, this is why you don't feel redeemed. You have not done one of the steps, or yes, I've made a commitment to Christ. Okay, well, then have you accepted his gift? Well, what gift is that? Okay, now we have to have a conversation. See, a lot of this, sometimes we don't know what we are because we don't know what it means. If I get stopped by a police officer, his first two words out of his mouth, unfortunately, back in the day, sometimes they were good afternoon or good morning, but they're always, may I see your license and registration, please? Well, if I don't know what he's talking about when he asks for my driver's license and my registration for my vehicle and proof of insurance, I probably should not be on the road driving a car, because I don't know the basic tenets of operating a motor vehicle on a public street. Or you have to have permission, i.e. a driver's license. You have to have certification, or B, a registration that the vehicle you're operating is a vehicle that you have the right to operate. And you have to have proof of accountability or responsibility, i.e. insurance, meaning that if you do harm somebody, there's at least somebody behind you backing it up. Or if you do, if somebody harms you, you have the wherewithal to cover it based on whatever they can't or cannot do. So it's the same thing within the church community. It's the same thing within the Bible. If you've made a commitment to Christ, then you need to know what that means. And if you don't know what that means, it's easy to question why your commitment to Christ, because you don't even know what that means to be committed to Christ. And more importantly, what it means when Christ is committed to you. What is brought to bear when we are, quote unquote, born again Christians? Because a lot of people are spiritual. Oh, I'm spiritual. I believe, I try to live my life in such a way that I respect all belief structures. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, some things do not need to be respected. I know that may sound narrow-minded and bigoted, and it also may sound like I've made a judgment, but our entire life is based on judgment calls. So this whole idea of not being able to judge is a farce. It's a lie. We judge all the time, every day, male or female. We are doing nothing but judging. The issue is, are we able to judge righteously? Are we able to judge in the proper manner? And with our judgments, are we able to be judged by the standards that we place on others? That's the hard part of judging. Is some people out there will judge me, but won't put that same standard on themselves. I know a person who is an impeccable dresser. Dresses, everything matches, everything is decked out, and it used to be that his shoes were part of the ensemble. So his shoes matched his belt, which matched his hat, which matched, it was all matching. But he had to have an operation on one of his feet where he lost a toe. So now he can't wear the fancy shoes, he wears tennis shoes. Well, who has the right to judge him coming into God's house in tennis shoes? They don't know this man's story. I do. I don't have a problem with it. But some people would look at him and say, oh, well, he thinks he knows how to dress. He's got tennis shoes on. I'm like, really? Is that what, in the house of God, is that the biggest deal there is? I guess I've trained my people so well that one day I literally, and I'm not even sure how I did this, but I put on a dress shoe and a tennis shoe, and I came to church. I must have been completely spaced out that morning or rushing or whatever. And because my shoes fit me so naturally, I have rather large feet, so it's not. I have to have shoes that fit a particular, my size. I'm not telling you what it is, but it is large. And nobody said anything about it. Nobody said, "Oh, well, Pastor, why are you wearing a dress shoe?" They just assumed that there was something wrong with one of my feet, and that I was wearing the tennis shoe because I needed to wear a tennis shoe. Okay, fine. That's the kind of attitude we want. And I actually had to admit, when they said, "Pastor, you're wearing this," and I looked at, oh my God, why am I doing that? Well, because I don't know. It just what happened. But it proved out to me that I've taught them enough to know that don't jump to any conclusions. Just accept the things. It doesn't matter that I'm wearing two different shoes. I was at an event for Martin Luther King Day, and a shout out to Emmanuel Baptist Church, who did a fantastic Martin Luther King birthday celebration, which even included a birthday cake. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but they had a birthday cake, and we all sang "Happy Birthday," and we sang both versions, the original version and the Afrocentric version. Thank you, Stevie Wonder, for creating that. And they had a birthday cake. And I noticed that when I got there that my shoes, one of the heels of my shoe started coming loose and was flapping. So I just took my shoes off and I put them on the side and I walked around in my stocking feet the rest of the day because I did not want to create an issue with me, working on the sound system and going up back and forth and have my shoe flapping. Because people would look at it and cause a judgment. Unfortunately, it would be a hindrance for some people. So I walked around barefoot. In my stocking feet, and nobody said anything about it, and I didn't say anything about it either. I didn't go to anybody and say, "Oh my God, my shoe's coming apart. What do I do?" I just took the shoes off. I put them back on when I left, and I have to re-glue them or something. Actually, I need new shoes, so that's going to solve that. Just buy some new shoes for $135 a pair. That bothers me. Where's Payless when you need them? I don't care. Payless had a purpose, man. I was sorry to see him go. Now I got to go to Nike and over in Brighton and pay $135 for something I could got from Payless for $60. Whatever. It is what it is. The point being is we shouldn't pay attention to those type of things. If one of the ministries that I work with is an elder ministry, and if you work with elder ministries, you're going to learn real quick that not everybody smells like roses because of the body issues. So you can't be working in an elder ministry and be sensitive to the fact that somebody, for whatever reason, may smell like urine or feces. They don't want to. It's just the way their body is acting at the time, and you have to deal with it. So you don't make a big deal out of things like that, because that's not going to be A, polite, and B, helpful. They know what they smell like. They know the issues that they're facing. Your job as a minister is to deal with the soul, deal with the heart, deal with the mind, deal with the intellect. They can deal with their own body issues themselves. So it's just stuff we learn in the ministry that we have to overlook. If you're visiting somebody's house, I was visiting somebody's house, and their dog had pooped in the kitchen on the floor. Okay? Well, what am I supposed to say? Nothing. They know the dog pooped on the floor. They got the paper towels and they cleaned it up. It happens. We have got to stop judging people by stuff that isn't relative. And then some of you people will go, oh my God, that's horrible. The pastor came over and the dog pooped on the floor. Well, okay. Come on. Can we not be so petty? Really? Can we not be so petty? And in 2024, it's time out for the churches talking about stuff that is not relative and not relatable and not helpful to the cause of Christ. And to answer the question, 2 Corinthians 5:17, my own personal verse. Therefore, if any person be in Christ is a new creature, behold, the old things have passed away and all things have become new. Once you accept Christ, you are redeemed. Now, what you do with that redemption and how you handle that redemption is strictly up to you. But the redemption is there for you. But if you don't understand it, then you certainly should ask somebody and be specific. Like the person said, I don't feel redeemed. They didn't feel redeemed because they didn't know that once they accepted Christ, redemption belonged to them. And it's not necessarily, you don't get a plaque, you don't get a certificate saying, this certifies that on this day when Dan McCoy Walker has accepted Christ, he is now officially redeemed. You don't get a plaque that says that. But Jesus Christ said that I have come to redeem the sinners back to God. In other words, I have come to pay. What does redemption means? It means you get a chance to, oh my goodness, somebody has paid for your sins, or you get a chance to fix a past sin that you do. If you're looking for redemption, you're looking to fix a wrong in your life. I remember when I left the martial art community, I didn't feel like I left it on the proper level. I felt like I needed to redeem myself in the eyes of the martial art community, because I felt like I'd let it down. Well, that was a decision that I had made, that I sought redemption. It turns out that no, I did not leave it. I did not need to be redeemed by man because I'm redeemed by Christ. And the offenses that which I had committed, or that I felt guilty of, shall we say, that's all. Whether they were in my head or not, you seek forgiveness from the people who you feel you've wronged and move on. Ask for their forgiveness, and if there's any way for you to make recompense, make it. If it's a recompensable offense, if they'll have it, then great. If they don't have it, then move on. We live too much in condemnation because the enemy wants to condemn us and wants us always to live in condemnation. Remember what you did. Remember who you were. And how dare you call yourself a pastor? How dare you call yourself an evangelist, a prophet, a bishop, or anything? Remember who you are and what you did. And it's always in the past tense, or it should be always in the past tense, because if you're still doing some of the things that have caused you shame, then yeah, this needs to be dealt with. And all of us have issues that we struggle with that we need to take to the mountain and leave there, take to the throne of grace and to the altar and leave them there. But we all have issues that we struggle with on a daily basis. So knowing that, the trick is to not let the enemy say, well, because you have this one issue, your whole walk with Christ is compromised. The enemy cannot tell you that your walk with Christ is compromised. That's up to the Lord. That's up to the Holy Spirit. As soon as the enemy is telling you something, it's not telling you this so that you fix it. It's telling you this so that you wallow in it and become less and less effective within the gospel, in the gospel community. Which is why we need to have good friends around us that say, okay, Dan, I was listening to your last sermon and you made this particular point, and I think you might want to rethink that or research that, because I'm not necessarily sure that point squares up with the gospel. And that's a good thing. It's always good to have people around you that are willing to say, nah, I don't think that that dress goes with that ensemble. I don't think that particular mode is appropriate for what you're trying to convey. Having people around you to say, well, maybe you probably shouldn't have said that, or you were wrong in saying that. But here's what I always ask is, please, if I come to you for advice, listen to the entire story before you make your comment. Because what I have noticed is that there are times when I'll say something as I'm trying to explain what happened, and the person will jump right in and go, okay, that was wrong. You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have done that. And I haven't finished my explanation, but so they don't know, they don't have the whole story, but yeah, that was wrong. And so all I ask is that if you're ever going to advise me, just listen to the whole story. Even make notes so that you can come back to the different points and point out where I'm right and where I'm wrong. That's more helpful to me, because as soon as you make a proclamation halfway through something, then it's difficult for me to complete it, because now it sounds like I'm defending based on the fact that I know you already disapprove. And that's just a lot. So it's not fair. But just personally, someone comes to you and they want your advice, listen to the whole story before you give your advice, before you speak and say anything. Here, this might make it easier. So anyway, just a little inside joke here at the studio. You know, things go on in the background that sometimes you're not aware of, and so the idea is for 2024 for us to be new, for all of God's churches to be new, for all of God's worship to be new. We should strive for this year to have. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, my body's doing all sorts of stuff today. I had dinner last night and it was a traditional Dan meal, meat, potatoes, and a little bit of greens. And it was some really good meatloaf, and the potatoes were seasoned very nicely. I like people who take risks when it comes to making mashed potatoes. I just think that, adding a touch of garlic to it, adding a little bit of pepper, maybe some seasoning of some sort, just something to spice it up. I've always liked mashed potatoes. I mean, I'm one of those ones that are always experimenting with what to put into mashed potatoes. I've made mashed potatoes and shrimp. I've made mashed potatoes and bacon. I've made mashed potatoes with corn, and just different things infused in the mashed potatoes. And what I find is that a little bit of garlic is a good thing, and not so much that you can sense it. It's not hitting you upside the head. Hi, I'm garlic, but it's just a touch. It's just something. I like that. Just a little a little something different. But my stomach is complaining now, saying that, okay, Dan, that was probably a little too spicy, and I'm going to make it known to you. So, hey, I have an interesting afternoon planned. But I just want you in 2024 to be the best you can be, to understand that God's redemption plan for you, to understand what you have to accept and what you have to receive, to understand the different types of things that are going to be required of you this year. You want new stuff to happen in 2024. It has to start with you doing new things. You can't have anything new. And I said this from the pulpit on this past Sunday. You cannot put new wine in old skins. I didn't know why. I know why now, because the old skins being dried up are not as flexible. And if you put new wine in it, the wine could just as easily expand and break the skins and be wasted. So you put them in new wine skins so the new wine skins can expand with the new wine. So it's amazing how in life God is giving us examples of exactly how he wants us to be. So we want to do new things. We want new results. We want to reach new people. So start talking to new people. You've asked your cousins, you've asked your brothers, you asked your sister, your mother, you've asked them 17 times, come with me to church. They all say no. Stop asking them. Find new people, and it's not hard to find. The new family that is coming to our church is people. I met one person in Walmart, and now their family is coming to the church. Amen. Hallelujah, Jesus. Why? Because I did something new and different, and it's paying off. We have got to start doing new things. We want new results. So let's start new. If you've been praying the same prayer for 20 years, I would suspicion that it might be time to figure out how to pray a new prayer. And I always say this: if you have the exact same testimony that you had when a year ago, and we all know your testimony word for word. It's time to get a new testimony. You have got to live in the now, and God should be doing stuff in your life that reflects the newness of your life. 1 minute? Wow. Okay. So there you have it. Sound Travels 2024. We're going to be doing some new things in 2024. New guests, new opportunities, new commitments. I am Pastor Dan Walker, and I am just so proud and so privileged to be here, and I thank you for keeping me on and having me on and for commenting. Whether you like me or don't like me, just let the radio station know. If you think they should take me off, tell them. If you think they should keep me on or give me more time, tell them, especially that more time part. I'd like to be on every day. That'd be cool. Dan Walker, Sound Travels for an hour every day with the news and the current events of the day. That would be so much fun. Hey, in 2024, let's see if maybe we can make that happen. Tune in next week. Yes, I'm saying the same old out. Same bat time, same bat channel.
To hell as my spirit leaves my body, as my soul begins to yell. My tongue cleaves to the rooftop of my mouth. Ouch! I'm never getting out. Hell's a place of total torment, prepared for the devil and his demons, where the worm dive not. It's pitch dark, burning flames torch you while you still screaming. The devil don't want you to hear me, baby. Hear me out, baby. Hear me out. The devil don't want you to hear me, baby. Hear me out, baby. No TV, no lunch to eat, no weight rooms, no such thing as sleep.